Britain will pay in the cost of a not-deal Brexit since complex new boundary controls may not be prepared in period, a by the government guard dog has alerted. Thousands of UK exporting countries did not include quite period to get ready for new boundary rules, the Domestic Auditing Office space told. Penal gangs could utilize any boundary weaknesses, and queues and intermittent were potential at boundary crossings, it added. The government told it was sure of remarkable nice transactions in the EU for as frictionless trading as probable. It told how plans were already 95% full. The Domestic Auditing Office space recognized how the government had done several advance on preparation for the opportunity of a difficult Brexit. It is the formal flesh loaded in scrutinizing the transactions of the government departments and accountability to MPs so how they can conduct the government to expense. Its chief, Sir Amias Morse, told, this the government has publicly recognized the boundary will be submarine optimal if down there is no transactions in the EU on March 29, 2019. It is not precise which submarine optimal tool in experience, or how length the will recent. Yet which is precise is how business community and individuals who are confident on the boundary fleeing swimmingly will pay the cost. The now told how down there was pound for 23 BN of trading that crosses UK national borders each year, lot of how in the EU or on some destinations via the otherwise of Europe. Above 200 millionth human beings as well crucifix the boundary. At this, Britain's affiliation of the EU solitary marketplace and the Customs Officer Association allows for the complementary motion of consumer goods, human beings and services about Europe. External the EU down there will requirement to be new boundary controls and if down there is no transactions such controls will include to be more stringent rather than if Britain coordinated a gentle Brexit that turned on a 19-monthly realization time. The now told how no transactions up to 250,000 firms may requirement to fill in out customs officer declarations forms for the at first period as Britain excited on Planet Trading Organization, WTO, rules. The WTO governs world trade relationships among countries. Her Greatness's Income and Customs Officer, HMRC, that collects taxes at the boundary, could as well include to transactions in as lot as 260 millionth customs officer declarations a year, up of 55 millionth. The now told how new boundary checks could conduct to intermittent at cross points, enlarged hazard of customs officer noncompliance and queues of freight transport, for sample, hard to crucifix on the Europe mainland at Dover and Folkestone in Kent. The paper as well told how down there was no treaty yet in location to transactions in the question of the boundary among Northern Ireland and the Republic, the just earth boundary Britain will include in the EU following Brexit. Of 12 crucial projects preparation Britain's national borders for a no transactions, 11 were at hazard of not creature brought on period and to reasonable quality assurance, the now told. Though the government has reached lot and its planner efforts include enlarged impulse, taking into account the scope of the problem, down there are necessarily gaps and risks to its advance how I am required to spot of, Sir Amias told. Yet I do so time recognition how these are not regular times for person departments or by the government as a entire. The now told how correctly policed national borders were radically essential to domestic safety, efficient trading, travel, so managed migrating, wholesome communities and the environmental and how down there was a top standard of hazard how new boundary controls would not be prepared on period. Organized criminals and other are potential to be fast to utilize any perceivable weaknesses or gaps in the coercion mode, the now told. The combination in the UK's capacity losing of accessing to EU safety, law coercion and penal judiciary toolkit, could build safety weaknesses that the government would requirement to address promptly. The now told down there was a hazard how organized criminality could utilize any weaknesses in the boundary to smuggle consumer goods in the nation or traffic human beings in. Yet, the now's paper told it recognized how the government was aware of the change risks at the boundary. The government told it had done considerable advance planner for no transactions. wide job to get ready for a no transactions has been so underway for nearly 2 years, and we include strong plans in location to provide the boundary continues to work of the day we keep, a representative told. Next, IT system and infrastructure facilities are already creature constructed, or, as they do present, HMRC will go on to use an automatic, hazard-based attitude to customs officer checks. The tool any growth in the quantity of checks will be stored to a minimal. We will ever provide. We include the required asset to hold the boundary safe, and house why we're recruitment about 600 boundary strength commanders to get ready for the day we keep the EU, in supplement to the 300 commanders that will be developed by the end of the year.